Madam Speaker, I ask unanimous consent that all members have 5 legislative days to revise and extend their remarks and include extraneous material on the subject of the special order.
Without objection.
Thank you. Madam Speaker, I rise today to show an army of congressional leaders who back the blue. I rise to show our colleagues on the other side of the aisle and Americans across the country that we won't back down when it comes to supporting our men and women in uniform. Since my time in Congress began just over 1 year ago, I have made it my mission to show not just in words, but also in action that our LEOs across the country have a thin blue line army that won't back down, that won't quit, and that will always have their 6. Today we rise to honor the heroes in our midst, the everyday public servants who get up daily to don the badge, run into harm's way, moving towards danger and working hard to keep us all safe. Amid efforts to defund our police, leading to a rise in crime with no response from elected officials, nationwide or from this administration, amid phony bail reform efforts that do nothing to keep dangerous criminals behind bars, amid an opioid crisis with record levels of drugs pouring into our communities, perpetuated by the crisis at our southern border, because we all know that you cannot defend your hometowns if you cannot protect the homeland. Again, amid dangerous rhetoric spread by the ill-informed, amid increasing levels of vitriol for this profession, these real heroes, well, they show up. Madam Speaker, I stood on this floor in March of last year as my Democrat colleagues passed a bill to defund police. That night, I challenged my colleagues across the aisle to a ride-along. Madam, the House is not in order.
Madam Speaker, the House is not in order.
The House will be in order. The gentle lady is recognized.
Madam Speaker, I stood on the floor in March of last year as my Democrat colleagues passed a bill to defend police. They defunded police. Now, that night, I challenged my colleagues across the aisle to a ride-along. Not a single one, not one, took me up on my offer. Instead, my team and I set out to do the ride-alongs that my colleagues would not. And wow, did we learn a lot. Whether it was domestic violence, robbery, battery, violent brawls, drunk drivers, drug busts, everything in between, these ride-alongs proved it. These men and women who wear the badge, they're amazing. They are imperfect beings doing the toughest of jobs with the best of intentions. They are criticized, demonized, and vilified, and yet they continue to answer the call in the face of it all. Madam Speaker, 2021 was the deadliest year on record for members of the law enforcement community, the deadliest. Next to me, you see the names of all those that we lost. You probably can't see the names very well or even care to read them. There's 458 of them. 458. You know, the poster isn't even big enough to accommodate all of the names. That's 458 families shattered forever. That's 458 departments forever changed. That is 458 lives lost. As the wife of a first responder, I know all too well that feeling of twists and turns and pain that comes when a SWAT call out has come out. I know what it's like to sit at the kitchen table and wait for the call, the text letting me know that the call out is over and that my husband's on his way back to the department or the station. I know what it's like, and that is perhaps why I stand here today, more resolved than ever to stand in defense and in support of those who protect and serve every day. To the spouses of our men and women of law enforcement, know that you have a friend and sister in this fight. Know that your service alongside your partner is just as valuable and important. To all those across the country, whether you call yourself a deputy or an officer, an LEO spouse or family member, the message is simple. My colleagues and I, we see you. We hear you. We support you, and we will always have your 6. To those who seek to divide, defund, and disparage, know that every attempt that you make to hurt our LEOs and defund our departments, it will only be in vain. Your efforts to make our communities left safe will fail. Your efforts to hurt our families will falter. My colleagues and I, we will make sure of it. With that, I'd like to yield 2 minutes to the gentleman from Minnesota.